Yeah, cause girls is players too.
Hey, good
Yeah,
morning. And
cause
yes,
girls
girls
is
are
players
players
too.
too. I am the mom,
And I am the daughter.
and this is our next episode where we talk all things sports as it relates to fashion, music, pop culture, current events. And you know what? Let's just jump right into it. Did you watch the NBA playoffs yesterday?
Ooh, there was some good games yesterday. Yes,
Okay,
it
so
was.
like over the weekend, the Cavs were the number one seed. Just
Mm-hmm.
ran through the Eastern Conference this year. Had one
Mm-hmm.
of the best records in the league. Their coach was just named Coach of the Year, and they lost at home to the
Yeah.
Pacers.
Yeah.
I mean, and then OKC had the best overall record in the playoffs. This is a young team, but they are so dangerous, and they lost at home. Number one seed lost to the Nuggets, and I mean, what is up with this? This is crazy.
Yeah, everybody is fighting for a chip. So you might see some different dogs come out in this second round. With OKC, they ran through the Grizzlies. Just ran through them. But with the Nuggets, they've been even kill. They lost their coach this year, but the players, Aaron Gordon, I will give him some credit, some claps, because that 2-point win, that's how they got up in the series against the Clippers. That
He hit a
putback.
shot at the buzzer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But he hit a three this time. So and
Yeah.
then it's like Aaron Gordon when he played for the Magic was not known to be a shooter. He was a dunker, like all things athletic, but like
Yeah.
what is up with that? And then Boston just completely self-destructed. Like
Yeah.
completely self-destructed. And it's funny because they are one of the top teams in the league, obviously the defending champs, but they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in the second round.
hmm
Couldn't
And we know in a game, if the threes aren't falling, you gotta hope and pray that you're getting some inside game. That mid range becomes your best friend. Because if you are 0 and awful, or just 3 and awful from the three, you better hope you get some stops and make a couple baskets more than the other team.
right. And that was, one of the things that the Knicks said, because the Knicks, they're just gonna be a defensive minded
hmm
team.
hmm
They know that they have some shortcomings, but everybody seems to step up when they need to step up.
Yeah.
Mikal Bridges stepped up huge. Jalen Brunson has been balling, and
Lefty.
he was named the clutch player of the year, so that makes sense. But Carl Anthony Towns to me is like a completely different player from this Knicks team than when he was with the Timberwolves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you get a player, you take them out of what they were used to, which he was the face of the Wolves, and then you bring him to the Knicks. Jalen Brunson was already there, Josh Hart was there, so and those are the Villanova boys. So you already have a core team, and Carl Anthony Towns has found his way. He has found his way, and he is shooting that three. He might say he's arguably the best 3-point big man
Well,
shooter
that's what
in
he
the
claimed
league.
he is. That's what he claimed he is. But it's just been interesting to watch. And tonight the Timberwolves and the Warriors go at it, which
hmm
is a 6 seed against a 7 seed. So
Yep.
obviously the top teams from the first round got put out. But I just think that right now basketball in general is the sport. People say, oh, nobody's watching the NBA, but there's still some hype around what we do.
hmm
And then what, in 2 weeks the WNBA regular season starts, and they've already started their preseason games. And I don't know what the Chicago Sky and the Fever been doing, but they whooped up on the Brazilian team that they played. Like I'm like, okay, this about to be cracking.
Yeah, with the WNBA starting, it's like we just continue on with basketball. And for those in the basketball world, when we do AAU and things and we say basketball is year round, we get to keep that going. So we go from the NBA, the playoffs ends, and then the WNBA is gearing right up. And I'm just excited, to see the rookies who were last year now sophomores, and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and now you got some rookies coming in, and Paige Beckers, and it's just I'm just excited to see what is happening, what will happen in the league, because they also had that 3v3 league that they started, just to give some more exposure and opportunities for the women to keep playing. So it should be very exciting this year, to hype around the women's league.
Well, we decided to name our podcast "Girls Are Players Too," but there's still such a disparity as it relates to the
Hmm.
WNBA and the NBA. And we know it's all about money, all about revenue. The women's sport itself, women's basketball, is just not garnering the eyeballs and the revenue. However, how are these rosters built? Because I just it seems to me that the WNBA is so cutthroat
Hmm.
that players today get drafted, but they can't make the roster.
Hmm.
So it's like, if you're a college player coming in and you all excited and you are not the number one pick, you're the 28th pick, 30th pick, you're still trying to make a team,
Right.
and they only carry like 12 players.
Right.
So it's like, how does that work? I mean, it's devastating that some player can come in, get drafted that night, their name was called, but then all of a sudden 2 weeks into preseason, you're waived.
Right. And too, you brought up the case, the biggest distinction or disparity is the money, because the NBA, they have different contracts, three-way contracts, 10-day contracts, a G League. And the women's game is, you come in, if you playing, or if you not playing, whatever the case may be, you're cut. And then it's like, then what? So it's just, there's nothing to keep the women's confidence going. There's nothing to solidify that they may be able to get back into the league, because it's like a one and done type of thing. And it's unfortunate, because there are some hoopers in the women's league that should have the opportunity, even if they weren't picked number one, if they went 30th, they still know how to put the ball in the basket. So why not give them the opportunity to show what they're made of, what they can do, because their name was called for a reason at the draft. So why take that and strip that of them, that opportunity?
It makes you wonder, because like there was so much hype around the Olympic team, and Caitlin Clark didn't make the team, and people were mad because she's good for marketing, and then of course it's like, yeah, but if she's not gonna play, then people would be upset that she didn't play. But at the end of the
Hmm.
day, they only take 12 players on a roster, and then throughout the season, players get hurt, and then
Hmm.
they have like reserve players. And where do they come from? Like these girls, these women literally are sitting at home waiting for somebody to call them. So it's like, you got to stay ready, because you just don't know if you'll get that phone call, because two players went down, and then then you become a reserve player. But it just is so frustrating, because there's so much talent, and
Hmm.
again, there's so much more hype around the sport. And I'm just a champion for women's sports in general,
Right.
but to know that some of these players, like Cheyenne Sellers from Maryland, she had a great year to finish her career, and she got waived.
Hmm.
Bree Hall from South Carolina, who won a national championship in 2024, went to the final game this year,
Yep.
and she got waived. So
Yeah.
it's like, what are they gonna do tomorrow? What does that look
Right.
like?
What does that look like? Yeah, because a lot of their life, basketball has been their identity for so long. And so when that is no longer like, I wake up and eat, sleep basketball, it's like, now what does life look like when that's not my every waking second of my day? And they have leagues overseas, and a lot of the women play, overseas, and have said that the paychecks over there looks better than what they get over here, which is mind-boggling and bizarre. But it's just we should, like you said, you're a champion of women's basketball. That should be just toted more here in the States. Like, we should be more, there should be more champions of women's basketball because, again, there are some hoopers in the women's league. So why not just feed into that? Give more into that.
Well, one thing that I have said to myself, because wasn't nobody listening, was over the years, I just believe that now that there is a WNBA, that the NBA players should pay into that league. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like a luxury tax or something. So for every NBA player who makes a roster, who has a contract, 2% of his wages should go towards the NBA, the
Mhm.
WNBA.
Mhm.
2%. Now, obviously for somebody like a LeBron, it's don't seem like a lot of money. Somebody that's only on the league minimum, it's like 2%. What? Oh my God! But I just think more money has to come in, and maybe it already happens. I don't know. I just think that to me, that's how you can continue to invest because
Absolutely.
it's a spinoff of the NBA. It
It's
is.
absolutely.
But what we love to see about the growth of the WNBA is how these names become household names and they start to resonate with people. And what better way to put the WNBA on display with the NBA
Mhm.
than at the Met Gala? Did you see
Mhm.
that? Oh my God.
Ooh,
Oh my
they
God.
were fly, fly, fly. Okay, I mean, stepping came through suited and booted, and I mean to see the athletes just come out and show their stuff. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Now, Anna Wintour, who is the organizer of the Met Gala, her theme this year was Black fashion.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's take a
Mhm.
moment to stew on that. Black fashion.
Mhm.
So that lets you know that there's a culture or there's some type of
Mhm.
uh, a mindset of what black fashion looks like. And so to see a lot of the athletes that attended, I mean, and LeBron James was an honorary co-chair, like, but unfortunately
Yeah,
because of his injury, he didn't attend. But his wife Savannah slayed
Savannah.
for the family,
Yes,
slayed for the family.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I just to even have black fashion as like the topic or the headline, and it was like it was our opportunity to put our best foot forward, and we're not gonna come half stepping for anything anyway.
Right.
And so it's like power to us because the world is seeing that we gonna come ready
That's
when
right.
when our names are called or when our culture is called, and they did not. They showed out. I mean, goodness, Angel Reese.
Angel Reese was she was a
Ooh.
co-chair or honorary. She was on the committee, the planning committee. Simone Biles,
Mm-hmm.
Shakari Richardson for the
Law
track
J.
athlete. But then Brianna Stewart was present.
Yeah.
Sabrina
Yeah.
Ionescu was present. So that's like I said, when you're able to bring cultures together, that's what sports can do.
Yeah.
So we may not agree on politics, we may not have the same ideologies with a lot of things, but when you can see people unite from all walks of life, from fashion to music to entertainment. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg was looking fly. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
it was such just a magnetic event to bring these cultures together. Gabrielle Union and
Yep.
Dwayne
And D
Wade, they
Wade.
were
Mm-hmm.
present. Alicia Keys and Swizz Beats. I mean, it was truly a night that I think we needed to just be
Yeah.
reminded to take a moment to reflect on how awesome it can be when we come together.
Yeah. And two, I think with this, um, not topic, but just what the black fashion was, it was like a free night. Like, you just show up, you have fun, yes, people put in effort for their attire, but it was just, you could just see it was like a cool, relaxed, just feel and vibe there. It wasn't too much of high high feelings and this and that. It was just, we here. I saw Diana Ross and she looked amazing. So it was just, everybody had a chance to just be there and just be free.
Right,
Just
right. And it's funny though, because some of them outfits, I tell you, I'm like, okay, that was trash. But a lot of them was like, okay, Meg the Stallion,
yeah.
Coco Jones got the invite.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
it really resonated with me just how far we've come, especially in the sports world, that
Yes.
these invitations become so critical
Yeah.
because this is pop culture. This is what people are talking about. So if you're gonna have representation for female athletes, for the WNBA, for track and field, for USA athletics in general, how else can you put that on display than, like you said, make it a day of just being free? And
Mhm.
some people took it to an extreme, but it was cool.
Yeah, it's always a good thing to see, like you said, just bringing cultures together. Because I know for me, I'm a proud black woman, and to see the women stepping, yep, all night.
And a lot of them were in suits,
Mhm.
pantsuits. That's
Mhm.
what made it really interesting because when you talk black fashion, you immediately assume that it's all about, the women got these bouffant dresses and
Yep.
whatever. But and many of them did. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Simone Biles, her little blue uh, ensemble with that train,
Yes.
was so long that, and her husband with his white on, it was like, Jonathan Owens is really benefiting from the fanfare of being married to Simone Biles because, that brother probably would not have been invited to the Met Gala as a
Right.
safety for the Chicago Bears. It probably wouldn't
Yes.
have happened. Well, maybe when he was with the Packers, he would have, but
And I love their relationship because Simone, she loves her husband, but the media is always going to give the title Simone Biles and her husband. It's never Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens or Simone and Jonathan. And so, like you said, he is receiving a lot of just, he's taking it all on. Like
right.
he gonna show up and show out for his wife, and that's how it should be.
Right, right, right. So as we talk about fashion and just pop culture or whatnot, what's interesting right now is we're coming to the end of the collegiate season for a lot of athletes, and the transfer portal was
Oh my
hot
goodness,
over the
goodness.
spring season for football, for basketball. Um, and as we move into the summer, there's just there's gonna be kind of this lull of what's happening. But you know this whole NIL situation is just, it's out of control. It's just, let's just say what it is, it's out of control. When you truly have athletes that want to broker deals of how much money they should be paid to play college sports, it's crazy. Now, I came in, my freshman year was 1989. So when you came in as an athlete, there was no how much am I getting paid, but
Mm-mm.
they gonna pay my room and board. They gonna pay, give me a food stipend. I get all the gear I can get. My travel is included. But even in that, behind the scenes, there were a lot of illegal recruiting happening. Money
Absolutely.
was turning over like crazy. So we know that it happened. So I'm not necessarily against the concept of the athlete receiving some type of compensation, but it is something that's, you know, the excitement and the commitment to be able to represent your school, it's out the window because you were an
Mm-hmm.
amateur, you weren't paid. And
Mm-hmm.
so now when you hear these deals, like the player that left Tennessee because he didn't get his bag that he said thought he was gonna get, and decided to transfer, and gave a number like this is what the asking price is, like this is what I need, and people was like, you know what, we're good. It's all good. But then some school, UCLA, took him, and he didn't get half of what he thought he was gonna get. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like you haven't played for UCLA yet, and I
Yeah.
get that you maybe showed something, but it just so I mean, as a former athlete, what's your take on this?
You know, when it was first brought up about the NIL and people getting money and this and that, I was a little yeah, it didn't sit well with me because, you know, you came up, you started in college in the 90s. I started in the 2000s. Like I went to college in 2012. So, you know, as an amateur, I'm here to play because this college liked me and they wanted to pay my, you know, a scholarship for me to play there. But, you know, I had posters and things up outside the school and all types of things, and looking back, it's like for my likeness and my name and my face around this campus, I I should deserve
Where your
something. But
reparations,
yeah,
huh?
give me my reparations. Pay me. But you know, I in the same breath, I don't think it's bad for the sport. I just think that it should be fair. Now I'm not gonna say equal because the number one man and the number 12 or 13 man probably shouldn't get the same amount. But if you're going to do that, then there should be something for the 11th, 12th, 13th man, like in some regard, because they are there. Now, there are some walk ons, like some people that just want to say, I played basketball or I played this sport at this school. Okay, great. So then that conversation may be different. But you know, for one person to be a face of a team or a university and they're getting paid all this money, it's like the next level, it probably don't even seem as great to them anymore because it's like I've already made $1 million in college.
Well, but what happens though is, you know, and because of the COVID year,
Hmm.
you say year, but it's years. You have players that literally are in college for 6 years,
Absolutely. Yeah,
and
with
and
this
they can
transfer
transfer
portal.
wherever. I mean, and that's what was again was different. If you transfer from the university that you played for, you had to sit out a year, like
Absolutely.
regardless. Period. You had to sit out. And now it's like, okay, well, now some conferences, and I don't remember which one specifically. I feel like it's the SEC. No, it ain't the SEC because Malaysia Full Wiley
Full
left
Wiley.
LSU, left South Carolina, and now she going to play for
LSU.
LSU, and she can play right away. So it's not them.
Hmm.
It's another conference. They do not allow you to transfer within the conference and be able to play right away.
Yeah, and that
So
makes sense.
correct, because to me it just, you know what, it doesn't create any sense of loyalty. It
Right.
doesn't create a sense of team, you know. And I know on the men's side it's so competitive because a lot of them do aspire to go to the league, and we get that. But it just changes the dynamic of building, you know. i
Hmm.
i went to Marquette University, and the probably the most amazing experience is the after. Like
Yeah.
my teammates and I, we're still close. We're in a group chat right now with like
Same.
16 of us, from the
Same.
85s to the 93s or 94 grads or whatever. And we're still close because of that time together. But you
Hmm.
don't build that when every year your roster changes.
Right. Yeah, and it makes for watching hard too because you think you know what a team looks like or who's on the team, and then it's like, well, where they come from and where
Right.
this person, who is this person, and so it just it doesn't, like I said, because also when I was playing, my team right now, the older teammates and the class under me, we also have a group chat. And just to see how life is going on after basketball,
Yeah,
with
people get
the
married, having
marriages and
babies,
have,
good
yes, absolutely.
jobs, right?
Absolutely. And so it just I don't put too much stock in it, because it's like, well, the sporting world is changing a lot, and so it's giving these kids opportunities, but it's like, me, I think long term. And so as a person continues to jump team from team, how are they building their stock? Like, they're to go to the next level, like, you have to put in work on this team now.
Right.
And so I I I just, where are my reparations? Let me go back to that.
Well,
Because
I'm a bit older than you, so I can't claim it. But I will tell you that if NIL was available and I was not our number one player, was not, I was our sixth man of the year,
hey,
I
that
would have got
holds
some
that
money
carried weight. Yeah. Oh yeah.
because my name, my image, and my likeness was cracking. But I'm not looking for reparations because I just truly believe what my efforts did at that time put our program on the map. It got
Absolutely.
people excited about Marquette basketball. So I'm okay with being a trendsetter or a trailblazer. That's fine for me. But I just think that the health of the sport becomes so questionable when money at the collegiate level is setting the tone for where people are going to go.
Yeah.
So, it's been great. This has been a great conversation. And, it's like, wow, this time went by so fast. I'm looking forward to our next episode. And, we just going to keep it light. We're going to try to talk about a lot of different things. And obviously, we have similarities in how our views might be. But because there's a difference in age and timing of when things happen, it's
Mm-hmm.
just great to be able to catch a vibe with my daughter. So I just appreciate that you are in this space with me, and because girls is players too, so you
We are
can't ever
playing.
forget that what we bring to the table. I'm the mom.
I'm the daughter.
We saying peace out, everybody.